Welcome back to Intern to Expert. My name is Will, and today is going to be our first book club. So today we're just going to review 3 different books that have really changed recently, how I think, communicate, and grow, what they've had, or what role they've played on my personal evolution, and really what lessons I've taken with me and try to continue to keep with me as I navigate daily life. This is just the beginning. I'm trying to be a lifelong student, and books are definitely a key pathway into bettering yourself. There's so much that one can do if they're just open to reading good content. There's a lot more important things out there that one can be filling one's head with, let's say, right? Books matter a lot. And the more people that can actually read or even just get a library card, the better. It's just so easy, so quick, and the amount of online resources that they give you to, even get access to free audiobooks or otherwise is so underutilized. And it's just so important that we keep these institutions alive and support them. Without them, there's so much less knowledge that the public will have access to, and that is a terrible future to worry about, is to lose out on all the great information that you really can't find online. So the first book is called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Now, this is a pretty fun, short book. I've even read his follow-up book called Out of the Maze, which I may talk about later. But for now, this book, the overall theme is really just about embracing change with courage and curiosity. It's a pretty simple story, right? A short analogy, lots of powerful metaphors. There's only 4 characters. And they're in a maze, and they have to deal with change. And that change is represented with cheese, right? They're in some sort of area. Cheese is flowing. They're able to get it, and it's someday it dries out, and they have to figure it out. They have to change. They have to find their way. Some resist it. Some of them adapt to it, right? But the cheese ultimately is just about what you want in life. And this book, if nothing else, can give you a good dialect, some good language to be able to communicate, your wants and needs, that being the cheese, and, what, right? Who moved my cheese? Who keeps moving the goalposts? Why, even when you are doing things correctly and doing work, and you're told that this amount is going to get you somewhere, and then you get there, and then things change and things move, and even your own personal wants and needs are going to change, not just other people's. So it's really for something that is so short and so simple, it really makes you think a lot differently about I guess yourself, right? It's so easy to put yourself in place of the characters, because it's so easy to find yourself being all 4 of them, right? Just all different levels of wanting to change, needing to change, and not changing at all, refusing. And it's a really good duality for sure. So a really good quote in this story is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I think for a lot of people that can speak volumes, right? So many people are afraid, and because they're afraid, they're not going to move. They're not going to find things better, even if things are poor and dried up. They're more scared to do something than to do nothing, but to do nothing is going to eventually get them killed. They're going to starve. There's no more cheese. There's no more way to eat. There's no more, whatever, right? Whatever you want. Success, love, whatever it is. And there's just so many moments, right? So many moments when it's so easy to resist change, whether we want to or not. Like, it's just something that we all have to accept, right? The world is constantly changing. Every single second is changing. Like, you are not the person you are even a second ago. You're not the person who you are after listening to these words. Like, it happens that fast. Like, you get to build and choose and change however you want, whenever you want. And it's really not that hard, as long as you're more acceptant of the nature of reality, right? Being more honest about what isn't working, and being more open to finding what does work and changing things until you find things that work. Right, another quote would be, movement in a new direction helps you find new cheese. Right, finding new pathways, knowing that there is no one route to success, right? There's so many different pathways, and as long as you are working hard and believing in yourself, and sometimes there is a blind jump. Like, it's not always clear, but the more willing that you are able to push forward, and the more resilient, the more resilient you become, ultimately. It just compounds. Success generally compounds, right? It doesn't just disappear once you start building those small habits and adaptive steps, right? Like, things change for the better. Like, change is almost like a muscle, and the more that you work it out, the more it's going to work for you, not against you. Right? Weak muscles do not lift heavy objects, and that is just a fact of life. And part of it, you also have to find out what cheese you are chasing, or which cheese are you refusing to let go of, right? Are there things that you want that you haven't gotten yet? Are these the correct things? Are you sure that you want these things? And are there things that you used to want that you haven't moved on from? And are they slowing you down and making it harder for you to achieve whatever success it is that you want to achieve? So the last quote here would be, smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. Yeah, keep all of your wants and needs close, right? Keep track of them. Make sure that they continue to be what you want. And when something no longer serves you, get rid of it. And I don't even know if I want to say more than that, actually. I feel like that just makes the most sense. Like, it's just grow, right? It's about growth and being able to let go of things that you don't need, and not being stubborn, and really pursuing your highest desires. So, to wrap it up, it is a fantastic book. Very short. I highly recommend. You could probably read it or even listen to it, I think, on an audiobook in like 2 hours. Definitely will change how you think. And one of my favorite books more recently. It's definitely a fun read. So the next book we're going to talk about is Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg. Now, this was a great book. It really opened my eyes to different communication styles. Right, I got to have an in-depth review on the best communicators and how they navigate emotional, practical, and social conversations. Generally, doing so all at the same time, right? Like there's so many layers to these character skills, and if you're not practicing them, they can really fall by the wayside, and then your communication can just hold you back, even if you are, right? Even if your hard skills are top notch, having your quote unquote soft skills not mastered is often a limiting factor for people who are trying to be the best in their fields. Yeah, and funny enough, I didn't realize it at the time, but I did just finish another book by Charles Duhigg called The Power of Habit, which is another great book, which will probably have its own episode, because, I mean, that is just an incredible piece of work, and there's so much to go into as far as, like, the research that he put into it. So to go back to how super communicators communicate, right? It really comes down to those three types of conversations. And it's important to ask yourself, which type of conversation are you in before you even, or I guess during the conversation, right? Once it starts, you just got to keep tabs on it. And depending on the type of conversation it is, or like a combination of those types of conversations, those being emotional, practical, and social, you should behave yourself differently and react and act differently. Because there are three conversations in every conversation, and they can jump through, and you have to figure out what it's really about. Right? Is the person you're talking to just looking for you to listen and confirm their feelings? Are they looking for something more practical, right? Or are they looking for you to solve their problems? Or are they, right? It's like, or are they actually looking for you to, like, emotionally hold space for them, right? Not just listen. There's, one of the most interesting examples to me in this was he was talking to a hostage negotiator, one of the best hostage negotiators, and he was just describing how people communicate and how it's important to communicate, especially in high stress situations, and that most of the time these people who are taking hostages just want to be heard, right? Like, they generally have some sort of message, they're generally unhappy with some sort of societal thing, and like just listening to them and actually making them feel as though they're able to get their message out there generally is able to diffuse the situation to a large degree, and then they're able to start rescuing people and breaking it down, right? And a lot of that, which this book goes into, and I'll start with a quote, is super communicators ask questions that invite people to tell their stories, right? Ask. Like, change your communication style into a mostly question-based communication style. It's something that I've been doing a lot. It's something that they say leaders ask like 10 times more questions, and I'm trying to take on leadership roles in whatever I do, right? Like, whatever career path I'm trying to figure out, like, being a leader is, like, very important to me, and asking questions is important to me, and it's definitely changed my life. It's made people more open to talking, for sure. People love talking about themselves, and I like to listen, so, like, becoming more effective at asking effective questions has been really interesting to learn more about people, and just getting to know people better and building deeper relationships with them, which leads into another quote, which is, the most powerful conversations aren't about talking, they're about listening. Right? Talking is fine, like, it's good to talk, but it is much more important to listen, and to listen properly, and to build mutual spoken, right, verbal and nonverbal language with your partners or friends. Right, there's a whole lot of ways to communicate, and I feel like most way, or at least most of the time, people who don't focus or are not in some sort of social role do not communicate effectively, right? Like there's just a lot of non-effective communicators out there. I've met so many of them. It can be hard, and I've been there too. It's not like I've always been a great communicator, and it's still something that I work on all the time. And I think this podcast is also part of like working on that. Right, talking, listening, analyzing, taking things slower, learning, growing. Yeah. So, right, like, conversation can be easy, as long as, I think realistically, and I don't think the book goes over this either, it's like, it's almost as though you need to, like, drop your ego when you're talking to people, right? Like, if you were willing to be more of an observer in a conversation and not rely on your conversation to be all about you, and needing to say who you are, then you can have a better conversation, right? Like, you can, if you're willing to accept the fact that other people are interesting, and you can find some sort of common ground, like, of even things that you're interested in, right? Like, you can get other people's perspectives on ideas that you want or whatever, right? Which I feel like is a little, it's like, feels a little narcissistic saying that, but it's just an idea. It's not something I consciously think about when I talk to people. I just ask people questions, and it feels pretty innate at this point. It's just kind of built into my character, kind of subconsciously. Like, it's just like, I feel like I'm a pretty blank slate, and I'm always trying to learn stuff. And there's a lot of people out there who know a bunch of stuff, and a lot of people like to talk, so I'll let them talk. That's good. I think that's a pretty easy philosophy. Definitely worth reading this book. I don't know, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours maybe it would take you. It's not too heavy. There's a lot of stories, right? A lot of interviews with top people, like coaches and hostage negotiators, celebrities, like people who are in lines of work with high communication, high charisma. Yeah, so, right, just like seek to understand. Don't just reply. Like I said, seriously, like, think about people, like, right, ask them to tell you more, right, and use it as a reflex. Like, don't use it as a fallback to be more interested in people. Just be genuinely interested, and it should work out for you. And then the last book, it's called Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. So the theme for this book is growth isn't just about where you start, but it is how you grow. And that is essentially, this book is flipping the script on natural talents, and is talking about the power of character skills, which has been such a big theme in this whole episode. Right, being persistent, being open to feedback, and how you can learn to learn, right? Learning isn't just, or like one of the key things in today's world is not really about what skills you have. It's your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn things. and your effectiveness of being able to change and grow and be adaptive. Right? Achievement is not just a result of talent, it is the product of character. Your character is so important, not just, right? It's not just grades. Like, I always think about this where it's just like, if I'm going to, like, be hiring, like, let's say people right out of college, to be honest, I would prefer to find, like, a B average student, even like B minus, C plus, but who is like involved in a lot of high social things, someone who is willing to work hard, but is also willing to have fun and be active and care about themselves and know that, right, it's not just all 100% into a specific philosophy or way of living, right? You're not just solely focused on academics or whatever. And I'm sure there are a lot of high achievers out there who, right, do all get straight A's and do all the sports and everything else. But I don't know. There's a difference, I think. I would have to probably meet more of those top people. But I don't know. I've just found that there's something about blue-collar workers who haven't necessarily tasted success nor have had the resources in the past to help them further themselves, who are willing to put in that extra step, even if it means that they're not going to get the same results, but they're still going to be willing to do it anyways, right? It's like, you take the hard road, you do worse, but you do it anyways. And that is just a character thing. That's something that is built, right, over a long period of time. And those type of people who will not quit are, in my opinion, I'd rather have them on my team than someone who just from the get-go is, they have a system, and that system was instilled in them because of some, things outside of their control, right? Things of resource-based, like, living, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just... I feel like I might have just not thinking about this long enough, but I think some of you will get what I'm trying to say here. So some of the key takeaways for this book is just that you're focusing on your process goals over outcome goals. Right, so the outcome doesn't necessarily matter, right? The result at the end of the day is the result, and that is going to be important in your career, right? People are going to judge you based on results, but at least for your own personal growth, the process is definitely more important, right? Trust the process. You need to build yourself every single day. Like, if you're just worried about the finish line, then you're not going to get there, right? You don't just run a marathon by thinking about the finish line and then just try running a marathon. Like, you run a marathon by the process. You start running every day. You start with a mile. You do that for a couple weeks. Then you go to 2 miles. And then you start doing 5Ks. And then you do a half marathon. And then you do a marathon. Right? It's the process of getting there that is the more important goal. And you'll get the results. The results will come. Right? Going to the gym every day and lifting weights. It takes a bit. It takes a little while. But when it starts compounding, those goals just happen almost instantly. Like, it'll happen before you know it. Seems like it's a long time, but the results will get there if you trust the process. And learn to take feedback, right? Feedback is good, even when it hurts. And you can learn to, give yourself feedback. Rewatch your own stuff, listen to your own stuff, see what works, see what doesn't, see what's cringy. Right? I definitely go back and watch these episodes and listen to these and see what works and doesn't, and try to learn from them and change them. And I'm sure 3 months from now, I'm going to look back at these first episodes and be like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And then we just get better and improve, and the show gets better, and the personal brand gets built, and hopefully, this becomes something that people rather enjoy, because I'm enjoying it, and I think this is something that I want to keep doing, for sure. Especially honestly, this book episode is really fun to record, so definitely more of these in the future. And the last takeaway would be surround yourself with people who see potential and hold you to it. I mean, wow, right? I would hate to surround myself with people who are not pushing me further. I definitely try to surround myself with people who want the best, who have that similar mindset of just keep pushing and thriving, and right, personal growth and success, professional growth and success, right, people who are willing to learn and grow, lifelong students. It's bad to stagnate. It'd be too young to stagnate. I don't want to be, right, the saying is something like, I don't know, your physical body's dead at 80, but you've really died at 20, or something like that. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm not trying to be that. Once you start learning, you stop growing. Then what? Seems pretty bad. Seems pretty bad to me, to be honest. Yeah. So the true measure of potential is not how fast you start, but it's how far you're willing to go. You can be late, right? There's no timeline. A lot of people aren't successful until their 40s and 50s, it takes a little bit to get yourself together, to learn the actual steps that you need to take. It's not like they teach you in grade school and high school how to open a business, how to make money, how to invest, all these financial stuff that would set you up to be stable in the future, because for whatever reason, I don't know, right? Not gonna get into that, but it's definitely a problem. Yeah, and then, right, the last quote would be, we don't need to raise ceilings, we need to lift floors. Right, raising the lowest common denominator, making everybody's bottom level higher, not raising the top level. Right, if we are taking the outliers at the top, we're not gonna bring everybody up with us. We're only going to elevate those one or two outliers at the 1%. But if we lift the floors, we can raise everybody's standards on everything, right? On achievement, on health, wellness, quality of life, family values, I don't know, everything, right? Emotional states, spiritual involvements, whatever hobbies you'd want, right? Anything, right? It's just better community, better environment. There's so many ways to raise the floors that it's just not, I don't know, maybe it's just not community mindset. There's not enough of us in that mindset yet. But that's also going to have to, it's going to be a lot of litigation, I'm sure, and a lot of social movement. And I guess just to end this section with some questions. Now that we've really explored all these books and got to thinking, really got our juices flowing, let's say. So just ask yourself, when did you surprise yourself by sticking with something? Have you ever misjudged your own or someone else's potential? And what feedback changed you for the better? I think that's going to be good questions to ask when you are trying to unlock your own hidden potential, right? Like, I mean, I would definitely say, right, I'm recommending this one as well, obviously. But I'd read the other two first. I think this one's good. This one's very thought-provoking. And it's definitely something I've been using in my own life to better myself. But just remember, right, books and reading books does not change who you are. It's your application of them in the real world. You can read as many books as you want and still be a toxic person and not actually learn from anything. Or you can let books inspire you and really become, a better version of yourself. Just pick up one of them. If you can pick up one book and implement even one idea from this episode or one of these books, then you're going to be in a better spot than you were yesterday. Right, and I think for a lot of people, especially if you don't really read, it's going to be that first one, Who Moved My Cheese. It's going to be a really simple, short story, and I think you're going to find it very charming. And then, I think that's it for this week. This was an incredible episode of film. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you stayed to the end, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. And until next week, maybe another book review. Not quite sure yet. But we'll see. Especially if you guys like this one, I'll just do more book stuff. All right. Till next time.